Hello there! Welcome to the ReZero podcast. I'm your host, Wolf.
I'm your host, Gold.
I'm your host, Connor.
And today, gentlemen, we will be discussing and analysing Arc 9, Phase 5 of the ReZero web novel. Oh my god, we're here.
Yeah, also, I guess it's kind of Arc 9 in total. We hit the finale.
End of the road.
Finale. End card moment right here.
Randomly came up while I was on vacation. Did not expect to need to sit down in the middle of the night and just bang out the last few chapters so I didn't risk getting spoiled. And fuck, am I glad I did. That was dangerous.
It was a dangerous time to be a ReZero fan when these last couple chapters were coming out.
Dangerous indeed. I had to avoid everything.
Yeah, it had to be social media blackout, which I already kind of practiced because you never know when Topei's gonna fucking drop a chapter at this point, and the spoilers immediately come. So I don't interact too much with social media nowadays because of that. But
yeah,
I managed to dodge
it can be a little rough. I want to just shout out our community again for specifically messaging me when something spoiler worthy does happen. I don't get a chapter mention, just, hey, something came up super recently. It's a big spoiler. Be super careful. And then I can monitor everyone else to make sure that they're also being careful about it. And it worked out. And oh boy, we got what? Like, how many chapters was this last phase? It was pretty short overall,
it was,
right?
9 plus 2.
9 plus 2, yeah.
Okay.
So, to be fair, a lot of these phases have been decently short, eh? Like,
maybe it just feels that way because I read like 4 chapters in less than an hour.
Yeah,
because of how good some of them were.
Yeah, that's true. They're very binge-worthy, it must be said. I mean, ultimately, I guess, should we just start with overall thoughts here? What do we think of not only this phase, but maybe the arc in general?
Yeah, so I don't think it's a big secret that a lot of people are going to be divisive about the ending to the arc. And when I first read it, I was certainly disappointed, frustrated. However, after sitting on it for a bit, I have no negative feelings towards it anymore. It's not like the best ending to an arc that they've done. It's really hard to top, like 6 and 4.
Yeah.
But the arc itself as a whole is still fantastic the entire ride through.
It is.
And in hindsight, the ending does not do enough to bring it down. I think it is, in the weeks since it's finished, I think it has returned to my number 1 arc in all of ReZero.
What a bold claim.
Yeah.
One that I'll probably have to settle on myself, but I might have to tease that out at the end. I might have to think about it because it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I'll say about this arc, overall thoughts, is that, the ending being divisive, as you were saying, Connor, I feel like it being divisive is very interesting. I can see why. The way that it ends, and we'll get to in a moment, so maybe we'll get to later, is sort of by nature a type of story beat that people dislike reading, which is the idea, the notion that all the things that you read, all the character development will not happen. It didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And because of that being the case, I could see people saying that that's a waste, or it minimizes a lot of the experiences of reading it and thinking about it, all the developments. But in actuality, there's a part of it that made me feel like this was inevitable, or was the theme of the arc, in a sense.
In hindsight,
in retrospect, you now see what he was going for with a lot of these things. Because we had said throughout these arcs, and you go back, we said, how is this going to affect the rest of... This is crazy. This will change everything forever.
Yeah,
the world will never be the same after this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like we speculated on getting to this ending and how we were hoping it wasn't going to come to it. So like the writing was on the wall the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like things like the dragon being dead, all these.
Yeah.
All the stuff. It just, there's too much, right?
This is also a thing of, and this is, I think, something that really helped me when I was sitting on it for a long time, which is a lot of the conclusions that are made in this arc, for whether it's certain characters' development or certain story beats or plot beats are just slightly off feeling right, if that makes sense. Like they don't conclude in a way that feels completely satisfying to the main story, and I think that's a purposeful decision from Tappei to make it so we can parallel a lot of stuff that happened in this arc to anything that could be like parallel to it in the future of the story. So
we kind of got a lot of bad ends for people in this arc.
Very much so.
There's a lot of tragedy.
A lot of tragedy.
That felt like it was unavoidable. Like, if you had told me that Petra had to give up all of her everything in order to win here, would that feel satisfying to you? Like, she gave up her humanity, right?
Yeah.
And she would never be the same, right? That's a part of it that I think was in the mind as well. Of course, that and the entire nation, really, everybody in all Lagunica would be affected by this.
I mean, one thing, and a criticism I think I've heard down the grapevine that people were frustrated with, this is a generalization, obviously, this is just a couple people, but I heard that people were frustrated that because people figured out Return by Death in this loop, they killed Subaru, and that it's like it's devaluing the themes of the story of Subaru trying to survive. But I think a lot of people, when saying that, are kind of missing the point of how desperate this loop is, because this is a dead end loop. If Subaru doesn't loop here, there are serious consequences left, like in the world. Like a lot of his friends are brain dead, basically.
Right.
If
effectively everyone that was in that group except for Petra, who had to go crazy a different way, have been permanently brain demised. It's a total end loss. I mean, look at what it did to Yay. Like, she went so crazy yandere for Al from that happening to her. It wiped out Priscilla's husband to a catatonic state. It caused basically murdered everyone he fought in the arena with it. That glitch hit Rom, it hit Rom, it hit like all of Felt's camp, it hit Felt.
Yeah.
It's a doom.
That is a dead end loop, and Subaru would reset himself. And I think a lot of people are kind of missing why it's important that his Subaru's friends who make him loop here, because them doing that is allowing him to not have to kill himself. It's about them making that decision together and him not having to hurt himself to accomplish it, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's very much a different way of going about it. This isn't Arc 7 Subaru or Arc 4 Subaru. This is Arc 9 Subaru. My friends are the ones who are the heroes of this story helping me out.
Yeah, this was a determination, as you were saying, not based on his own selfishness, but on everybody. Everybody understood once they realized all these concepts, right? There's so many things here that if the characters knew or existed with all the information they've gathered, the realm of the world would be completely shifted on its axis. The powers in the world would be completely shifted. Everybody knows how to do these crazy reality bending stuff. Everybody knows all about authorities and the witches and everything like that.
And I mean, let's also just make the point: Amelia wins the royal selection in this round. Like, her story's over. Yeah. The only other competitor is Anastasia, who's currently walking back all the way from Wallachia into Karagi and then back in, and will have missed all of this because she can't officially have been involved in anything that she's just done.
Which again,
Amelia wins here.
Again, leads to this. These aren't the story beats that, although initially this is really exciting events in the story, again, I think Tappei is just trying to parallel stuff that happens in the future here. Set up not only the tragedies that happen within this loop that never become the true main timeline, but also setting up potential future tragedies that could happen. Because whilst a lot of the endings for character stuff in here were tragedies, there were a couple that were not. And I think what Tappei's trying to get at here is there's a moment near the end of the arc where we have the reset happen. And Subaru's back in the tower with Al. And we get a bit of narration with Al. And it's explaining how if he doesn't do this, Natski Subaru's love is going to cause a great tragedy that's going to ruin the world, right? And Tappei is clearly setting up with this arc. Maybe at some point in the future, we're going to be thinking, maybe Al should have won here, right? Maybe Al should have succeeded. Maybe that would have been the better outcome. Tappei is setting this. This is a complete setup moment, right? Like,
I also want to, institute the idea that in this moment, when people say that, if they have a critique that, why did they kill Subaru? That seems whatever. Sure, like there was too much, obviously, that they lost, that they wanted to reset. Petra did this because she knew that she would revert all this stuff. She knew that Subaru would return by death, and she would never have to go through all the stuff that she went through, right?
It's not even exactly it's almost like she made that gamble to make it happen.
With Rem, Rem, yeah. She's
and with Rem as well, she's sacrificing her state again for this.
Yeah, memories is back to normal, right? And it now makes sense in retrospect why that was done so quickly and stuff like that, because now we see that
because we're going to get a more satisfying example of it in the actual main timeline now, I think.
Yeah, because like one of my complaints earlier on was that Subaru wasn't the one that got to save Rem, or neither was Ram or Amelia, that it was just done as an attack against them.
And even stuff like Roy being kind of fleshed out here,
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting going forward as well. And like as you mentioned, we had some good outcomes for people. Like Roswell got his good catharsis moment that we now have to worry about him not getting again.
Which is, because this is one of the interesting tragedies that's been set up here, is that Roswell did get his good ending in this gone loop. But the issue is that I don't know if that's going to happen from now on. I feel like that it's kind of, in a chain reaction sense, probably going to set a really miserable path of events for Roswell going forward.
You know why I believe that to be the case as well? It's because we even got his quote from the trials.
Yes, that was, all this time I wasn't alone on this part.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was the most optimistic quote, in that trial, pretty much. In
that trial.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones. So, which, I mean, as well as just to give a reference to that, like we got from Minerva that those lines are from like bad loops effectively.
Yeah.
Like the ones that have happened in the main loops were dodged, like Julius's was dodged and avoided.
Mm-hmm. I think Priscilla's
went through.
We had the one from Ram to Lie as well. I think that's the only mainline one I can think of right now, actually.
I will say that another thing I want to point out to you guys, and let me know what you feel about it, is the idea that this loop only existed because they wanted to make sure that they didn't kill Al, right? That's something I thought was interesting. Even Amelia and whatever knew that Subaru would not like that outcome. Yeah. That Subaru would never allow that. And again, he even
resolves himself.
One of three people that he said that he's going to save.
Yeah.
He says that to Al.
And he's saying that on the same level of, I'm going to save Satella, the world-ending threat. Like, Subaru is determined to save Al, the same way he wants to save Satella. It's very much, it's kind of proving how far I think a lot of characters that could be antagonistic to Subaru can go in this arc, and how much Subaru is willing to fight for them. And it's really, and I guess we could kind of talk about this now because we're on this subject. Subaru, at the end here, says something really important for his character development that we haven't really heard up until this point. Because we've heard a lot of the things about him starting to learn to love himself, about starting to self-actualize himself. But one thing we haven't heard from him until now is, I want to know more about this world. I need to learn more about this world. I need to be an active player in this. Because this is Subaru deciding I'm no longer a reactive player in this. I can't be. I'm not allowed to be anymore. If I'm going to save these people, I have to actively get involved. I have to learn about things. This is a side of Subaru we haven't really seen too much of before, right? Like, we've seen little hints of it in 7 and 8 where it's starting to self-actualize a bit, but 9 has completely set in stone that this is what he has to do now. If he's going to save these people, if he's going to set himself down on this really difficult path, he has to learn about this world.
That is also just character progression he's gotten from 7 and 8. Because like little chibi Subaru was someone who was determined and was like making the active choice to go out and do stuff. He was doing it poorly.
Yeah.
But he still was actively going out and leading, and that made him more successful overall.
Yeah.
Which we did, I mean, honestly, because of how little amount of Subaru we actually got in this, we didn't get a ton of his new developed character doing much until the very end here, where he gets to then make this decision.
Because it's very much like the tick off to it. What Al does in this loop to like set this off. It's very much Subaru's last hurrah of, okay, this is the new phase of Subaru in this story coming.
It's an answer, and I think Tepe really juxtaposes this very believably. I think this idea that Al had to struggle hundreds of thousands at a time with his authority, and the very first time Subaru activates his authority once, he wins immediately
because his authority trumps his.
Which Al was worried about from the beginning, that if he loops it all and I'm done.
I mean, that was, I think what he mentioned was one of his greatest enemies is Natski Subaru, which is why he had to lock him down, right? Immediately to be able to do anything.
Yeah. I also think like there's something amazing and also tragic. I mean, we'll get to Subaru's like admitting that he's not all right, but there's something amazing about like in Subaru's perspective, he just immediately solves the issue. Like it's not even just like he's like, okay, I just need to seal him away, you know, and that like quick turn on his head is just like all of his effort, all of Al's planning, everything went down the drain immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as this happened. And it almost shows, because throughout the arc, you almost start to like, I don't know, you start to disbelieve Al when he says that he's unlucky or that he's like fighting against fate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that it's not his fault.
Yeah.
He's just in denial about all of it.
Bad.
Yeah, right.
It's a very like deflective and
defeat.
I don't want to say narcissistic, but maybe close to nihilistic. Like I can't do anything about it. It's not my fault. Like this is just how it has to be. When like it's very clearly shown that anything he wants to accomplish, he can accomplish. He's just choosing not to go that way, that he's resigned himself because things went wrong once.
And it's kind of what separates him and Subaru, not just the way their authorities work against each other, but also in that their personalities are different in that way, right?
Very much, yes.
We can talk about that more.
I guess we could talk more about Al as a whole because we learned so much about his backstory this arc, this phase.
You know,
I think we should maybe stick on the ending for a bit until we clear it all.
Yeah.
Because like a point I wanted to make about this as well as kind of another defense I've come to understand, this is not new to ReZero. It's just the longest one that we've had.
Yeah.
From the beginning, there's been really good character development that we lost because a loop happened. Like his relationship with Garfield reset like 5 different times into different ways.
Yeah.
He lost his entire relationship with Ram and Rem over and over and over again.
Which he'd never get back the original interactions and relationships he organically built, even if they were awkward, right? Like that's the pain of Return by Death.
The only one he can keep is Beatrice, which is why she's so valuable to him. But like it's not a new thing, and there is still a lot that comes out of it.
Yes,
that still will lead for the story. Obviously, Subaru had a vague amount of awareness of what happened because of Corleones. Beatrice is now one of the most powerful like attacks against the witches cult that they have available, with the ability to just Ulshamach anyone with an authority or connected to someone with an authority.
Yeah, this is a huge tool that Subaru and Beatrice have at their disposal now. Like it cannot be understated.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. He like Al starts to manifest it, and then they just kind of flip it on him, you know, and it just kind of I find that interesting. Of course, I wonder if it wasn't Al giving up as well, because it like the way that's worded is that like Al kind of manifests the ability and they kind of just turn it on him, you know what I mean? And it's just like,
well, from the explanation I got, it's that they had Ezzo and Beatrice watching him, and as soon as he started to gather the power to do it, they had it ready and launched it at him first. Subaru probably took the time to warn them. He's going to try to do this. This is your signal to make sure that like I'm right and he's going to do it.
Yeah, because this is to avoid any awkward interactions because the exact same thing could happen if Subaru just out and does that to Al and there's no explanation. It'd be the same reaction to what happens to Al if Al did that to Subaru.
Yeah, the idea that like I think Al already knew he was defeated. So like even though he looped, right? So Al has no memory of him, you know, succeeding, but as soon as he saw what happened, he kind of gave up. I feel like, you know, it was just sort of
his stars were bad.
It was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, stars were bad.
It also adds to wholeheartedly the tragedy of Al here, because I've like there's parts of his character that I've sympathized with, and obviously he was going about things the wrong way, but there's something so tragic about his character now, especially with the way this section of his development has ended, where he's just been locked away, where it really just there's just a sadness to it, you know, like of pity, of, you know,
is a good term for it.
yeah, like
Yeah, well, one thing I want to kind of bring up is this idea that this arc kind of conveys. And when you say that the development of these characters are erased due to Return by Death, like Garfield did back in the past, I think it's a little bit different because in Tappei's writing here, we get something that I feel like is hard to really quantify in terms of plot progression. And it's something that I think is more human, which is appreciation. I appreciate the effort all these characters went through
yes,
in order to achieve what they thought was right. All like throughout this arc, I felt they squeezed out every single ounce of all of their, like literally every single character did their utmost in order to try to do what they thought was right. And I don't think I've ever felt that so clearly.
yes,
The amount of like reiteration in like the narrative themes of Al's, pursuit, and how he kept on slowly, like he like snaking his way out of these impossible situations and continuing further and further, and how everybody tried to beat him, and then he was cornered, and then he got out of the corner, he cornered out of the corner, and over and over and again, and more so than I could even imagine. When something like this trumps even your imagination, you just have to think that it was valuable in some regard.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Because this is very much okay. Yeah, this didn't happen, but this proves to the extent that the people that love Subaru will go for him. Right? How much they will fight for him, what they're willing to sacrifice for him. Because some of them were doing it with the ultimate goal of trying to reset, but they didn't know that was guaranteed going to happen. They laid stuff down on the line for Subaru.
Well, Petra did guarantee know that was going to happen.
Otto did. Otto laid down.
Well, he did, but he I think the only one that actively knew that, aside from Petra, that Subaru was going to loop was Rem. She's the only other one that figured it out.
Yeah. But a lot of them were sacrificing things. I mean, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it does prove, because, yeah, we've seen other characters' appreciation for Subaru before, but a lot of it has been Subaru's appreciation for others, right, in the story, especially with him being the main character. I think us not having Subaru as that main character for this arc, and getting to see all of these characters that are around him and that love him and appreciate him fight for him, really reinforces those feelings. It adds a lot of heart and just appreciation for these characters, for their appreciation for Subaru, and for each other too. Seeing all of these interactions with each other and building those strengths. Just because those things necessarily didn't happen doesn't mean that they don't have those bonds still,
or that they won't happen again anyway.
Exactly, but in a perhaps different or interesting way. I think this arc, even for the people that still may dislike it because of the ending, I think this arc is going to be a hindsight arc. That when we see the rest of the story, this arc is going to really feel poignant and important.
Yeah, as well as just going through the rest of the story, like it's always going to be that concern of like they could go to Klein right now and like move the authority over to get out of this situation, but is that worth it?
Yeah.
Like obviously none of the characters are, aside from Roswell, now know that is an option again, but you as the reader might be constantly on edge about, are they going to go this route? Are they going to do this?
And that sets expectations that Tappei can then play with too, right?
The ceiling, like the absurdity that is set up by this arc will color the rest of the events of the story, because you know that any moment all hell could break loose and it could just be like this again. This something this crazy, something this dire. It
doesn't remove stakes from the story, it adds them, right? We've got all of these potential things that could go wrong, even more so now, right? Like we got to be worried. Everything could upend at any point. And we don't know when it could cement and stick around, so we gotta be careful, especially Subaru, the most of all, right?
For sure. It's gonna be a really interesting point going forward, where like we'll be wondering where some of these come back in. Like obviously we know that Subaru is now, he's aware that you can fix gluttony.
Yes.
That if you convince Roy, you can fix it. Maybe Spica's coming back into the story now as a way to fix that all too, if she can access it the way that he can. Who knows? Because like she came up a few times from Roy's point of view.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, by the way. I mean, I'll keep on saying that. The fact that they're able to make contracts with Roy and stuff like that and kind of yank him around. I thought that's something that then it's all reset over this, right? Which makes you wonder, when is he actually going to come back into play? In the main
what is his
story?
role in the story going to actually be, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of expecting it's going to be really, really soon. This
Yeah.
Must
like
be, right?
obviously Subaru's like final determination is I need to learn more about the world and everything, but he knows for a fact that you can use Roy to fix Rem.
Yeah,
That's got to
he
be
has an
what
answer.
his instantly going to.
Yeah, that's where he's going next immediately, right? Because there's no delaying this. It's already been delayed for a long time. Let's go fix Rem. And maybe
I would
Julian,
assume that
guess.
is what's next.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I guess.
If there's time.
If there's time. If it
it's
comes up
detour.
on schedule, maybe we'll fix my very friend, not friend.
If he shows up in Arc 10, then he can get fixed.
Yeah. If he works for it, maybe he's earned it.
We'll pencil
All
it
in all, though, I am happy with how everything turned out in the end, because there's a kind of looping it back to the first point of discussion. There's a lot of the character changes that I'm glad didn't happen. Like Garfield getting cheated out of another win that was deservedly his, and it shattering his spirit, and everything that happened with Petra and Rom.
I mean, because
Or even what happened with Felt, and most of all, what happened with the Estrellas.
Yeah.
Like I'm very relieved that is not in the canon timeline
That's
anymore.
actually very interesting. Both Wilhelm, Reinhardt, and Heinkel both have an alternate path. That kind of probably will still go the way that we were talking about even before this arc, because we had larger ideas of where Heinkel's story was going, and now it still is possible, which is interesting. I think that's one of the things that I like the most about this, is that I can't deny this arc's quality, right?
Yes.
That's something that I feel like nobody can deny, right? Even if you don't like the fact that, none of it really materialized in a firm sense, the impact of it can't not be felt. But what it does allow is an alternate path. We see why this path wasn't the right one to walk. We see why this being the conclusion for all the characters' efforts isn't as poetic or isn't as necessary as we might have thought,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even to bring up your specific, like, this is just to go in deeper into that just specific example you brought up about Garth. Like, not only did he lose, which is like sad for his own development of trying to gain that self-confidence and be the strongest, he lost to the person he idolizes the most. Like, he lost his captain. Like, you've let him down, right? Like, I don't think Garfield could recover from that reasonably very well at all.
No, not well. He was lashing out and was kind of just acting as a like monstrous version towards the end. Like, he was powerful, but
not his actualized self.
Yeah, it's not the one who wants to be the strongest in the kingdom. Interesting. I think one of the best changes, and it actually is the most interesting change to me, with this not being, there's a lot of interesting changes of this not being the canon timeline in a sense, is the fact that Felt doesn't know that she's actually what's her name?
Filore.
Filore. Which means that I think the reason why we learned this is because I don't think the new girl's actually Filore, but we'll get to later. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You don't say.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I wonder who that could be.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
If only there was a shapeshifter in the story.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Interesting. But yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think this is probably my number one arc. And you could say recency bias or whatever, and you could be like, oh, you're out of touch. But I'm going to be honest, new phase of the story. This is like so exciting. We had so many exciting and just interesting moments that really felt that I wasn't just excited to read it. Tapei was really excited to bring it to page. You could feel it, right? That Tapei is so...
there's so much gravity.
Almost getting
in every
carried
single
away with how
sentence.
excited he was with the stuff he was showing of like, this is...
100%.
This is what's possible in my world when we're getting to this point, guys. You aren't ready. Edge on your seat.
There's a kinetic way in which this arc is written that trumps even some of the great moments in Arc 8 where you see like amazing action. What I mean is
Yes.
like there's a forward momentum to this that just feels like it cannot be stopped. Every single action that a character takes flows so seamlessly into their backstories, into the feelings that they're expressing, that they're repeating in their heads, that they're saying as a mantra to carry them forward, that, you know, is echoing in their brains. You know, the way in which they're reacting to things is sort of, you know, making them go feverish, or like, you know, we see that in the loops with like Petra, and we see in Al's recollections or Ye's own contempt, or like all these things are so amazingly done that I can't help but praise it enough. Yeah.
So yeah, peak fiction. Let it be known. Let us know what your
peak.
overall thoughts on Arc 9 are. And this phase 2 in the comments down below. I'm very curious to see what everyone thinks here at home, and whether our opinions like change what you think at all, or like expand upon anything. I'm very curious. But yeah, I guess in general we can probably talk more about character specific moments here in this arc.
Well, let's talk about Yaya a bit.
Yeah.
We can also touch on the phase first itself and
Yeah.
hit this, which Yay is a good example because we got her named chapter
We did.
in this last phase. Gonna be honest, it kind of took the wind out of my sails when I got to it. I was very excited for what was going on around that, and jumping into her backstory of obvious tortured shinobi was an obviously tortured shinobi.
Yeah,
wasn't the highlight. Todd randomly being there was crazy, but other than that,
that made a lot of sense.
It
I
did.
was like,
It really did. I was like, oh, that's just the final click in the puzzle. It just makes sense. Yeah.
I gotta say, I did really. I think it's because it was the first revelation. I mean, we knew this. We knew exactly why she had this crazy dedication to Al, but I don't think we saw the horror. I mean,
Yeah.
we've kind of figured it, but like from her perspective, this makes no sense. I mean, she outclasses everybody. She is the most skilled, one of the most skilled fighters, I think, in the story, just by. Yeah.
She it's mentioned that she could be on the same level as Halibel, and he's one of the 4, right? Like, so
I think it was that she could have, which,
like,
based on her character, though, she would be very upset with us saying all of this.
Yes.
She does not want that pressure.
She's not special.
No,
She's not.
She doesn't want to be special, but the point is, she is, and she has the potential to be someone insanely strong.
I think I like the framing, and I don't know. There's something kind of disgustingly sad about her backstory. And I know what you're saying. Tortured Shinobi is tortured, and you should take it on that front. But there's something about somebody who wants to escape that, and it's just impossible. Like, it's literally impossible, especially with running to Al. But like, you kill people. Somebody wants to flee. Say, okay, fine, you can leave, right? And that person just causes more havoc. You want to, not be acknowledged by people, and then an amazing person acknowledges you, and then you're forced into the service, right? And then you're seen through. Your deal is seen through because of more special people, right? And then you try to finally, rebel against it, and then that very moment, your stars were bad. You know what I mean?
Ironically, a very similar path to Al himself.
I think that's part of their parallelism. I definitely they have a disdain for their circumstance. That I think is kind of part of the reason why she has a fixation on him, right?
Yeah.
There's a sadness. There's a definite sadness, but also like a helplessness to it, which is part of it. And Rem is talking about love, right? Like, Ye never experienced anything like that because she couldn't, right? She literally had no opportunity to. So when she realizes why people care about being special, it's because they have a reason to be special to other people, right? She's not a selfish, narcissist, Yay, right? So when she thinks about being special, it's not for her sake. She's like, I don't want to be special for my own sake. That sounds awful, right?
Right.
It's a curse. But in service of other people, Ram and the Amelia camp are allowed to become special, say Petra's allowed to become a special existence, for other people's sake. I think that's the framing in this part of the story, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, I think she's also I think another thing with her, it's just kind of it very much like one of the things that's set up there is that she says when she sees that boy that she lets go, who's so obviously Todd,
Yeah.
she knows her life will be over, or something really dramatic and poetic like that. And at first, when you're reading Arc 9 and the events are concluding the way they are initially, you're like, what does that even mean? Because there's no way Todd's going to feasibly show up here. But what that's setting up is something in the future of the story, of the actual canon timeline, right? Like, it's kind of funny in that its own way. It's set up within a thing that's setting up something that they could foreseeably see in that instance.
Can you imagine if Yay is the one that takes down Zombie Todd?
Yeah, something to that degree. Yeah,
It would be good that Todd is no longer
yeah.
alive.
Just let's get him out of here, bonk.
To be fair, I think where Yaya ends up at the end of the story leaves her for more potential stuff in the future. I mean, obviously, when Al comes back, she'll be back and all this stuff.
I mean,
but
she
the fact
locks
that
up
she's
Michael.
yeah, and the fact that she was Schultz, you know,
Yeah.
is interesting. I like that. I'm glad where Schultz is at too, in the sense of I think we now see that you know, if this arc went the way that it did without resetting, it'd be hard for me to be like, okay, now let's see what's going on in Wallachia.
Yeah.
Now it feels more feasible to care about that, and they have meaningful influence on, you know, politics.
Yeah, because we still have the Arc 7 and Arc 8 stuff that has to influence the rest of the story going forward too. And it can't if Arc 9
So if Schultz is part of the burial domain in Wallachia and is becoming like a royalty there and et cetera, it all makes sense, right? But
well, it should be the Schultz domain now.
Yeah.
And it's Baron Schultz.
He's technically a Bariel now, but it's Schultz now, and he's the boss, and he's going to be a very good influence on Yay because she fucking needs one.
That's true.
Yeah, it's hard not to adore little Schultz. And now that he's in charge, and it's going to be great. He just wants to do his best.
He's such,
and he has somebody who hopefully cross the fingers, isn't as no, his fate is to be around crazy people until he helps them somehow. I don't know.
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's to keep crazy people around him tame. That's why Schultz couldn't go on the trip with Subaru.
Yeah,
and Al and the lollies.
He's going to become a little leader of his own. He's going to do good for his people, and he's going to be a good little lord. I'm very proud of him. And also, we called this in Arc 7. We were right. Bah, bah, bah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring that up again. It just goes to show how Priscilla, her planning, you know, it's even better than Al could even give it credit for, you know.
Yeah.
That this was the outcome. She was planning ahead this entire time. She was planning ahead of her death. She was planning ahead of everything, you know. It made sense.
All according to Peacock.
Priscilla planned for her death for merely a moment versus Vincent planning for his death his entire life. Who wins? Well, of course, it's Priscilla.
The most perfect girl who ever lived.
Yeah. It really do be like that, right?
It's good. It's good. One thing that I wanted to point out, which I thought was really fun with Ye, is that she, I think there was the moment in which she kind of was about to kill Rem, right? Mm-hmm. And she hates the your stars were bad thing because obviously it mind broke her, right? But like she says that to Rem as like a gloat, right? And then like it kind of unraveled. Both her and Al had those moments, you know, in the same arc. I thought that was a nice little parallel of them both having the sort of, you know, in the moment they say it's not even condescending, right? Like Al doesn't mean it in a condescending manner when he says it. He genuinely has remorse.
It's pity. Yeah.
It's
nothing he could have done.
It's his version of I'm sorry.
But it is arrogance, and we figured that out through this arc.
And I mean, it's so nice too to get the kind of the nihilism of all of those statements of your stars were bad, or my stars were bad, or just this conceding to fate. I can never change anything. Get directly challenged, not just by Subaru, but we get lines from Petra too of like, you know, I loved my stars. I'm very happy. I wish for more. Like, getting lines that directly counter this, and it just it speaks to the heart of the story so well. Those lines in particular, that it hits different when you hear them.
Mm-hmm. Especially because she's wielding a power that kind of emphasizes his viewpoint.
Yeah.
Like the I'm still going to call it melancholy. I know it has its other name, but it's just easier to recall for that. That fits to his perspective a lot, of kind of resigning yourself. Like, Petra is constantly giving up. Like, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. She's resigning herself to this one single fate. But even in doing so, she's doing it with the goal of fighting against the fate that she's been dealt, which is just something Al can't even comprehend doing.
I mean, because it proves one of the big differences between Subaru and Al at the end of the day, too. Not just in how their powers work differently, and you can even talk that up to them being just different people, but Subaru is sacrificing things to change fate. He's sacrificing a lot. Like, he's taking in a lot of pain. And Al is going through a lot of pain, yeah, but he's not channeling it in a way that makes that work, you know? Like... He's letting the pain, like, kind of...
He's gone numb to it.
He's gone numb to it. It's not even the whole point is Subaru is afraid of it, but he's willing, despite how terrifying it is, he's willing to sacrifice things to make things better. Al is just so numb to this, so dead to it all, that he just kind of walks along with it. Like, he doesn't put up... Because the way his power works, if he actually put up proper resistance, he could probably change a lot of things for himself, but he just doesn't comprehend that he can, right?
Well, that's the point. I mean, twofold on your point there, Wolf. The thing that kind of beats him in the end, against, Petra, is he believes very strongly that the only thing that could ever beat him is a witch, right? Mm-hmm. He believed that because he was mind broken on the day in which, Akidna told him that your stars were bad, right? Mm-hmm. And in that moment, what was said to us by Petra, or like by the narration, I guess, it was this idea that witch factors or authorities, right? They exist, and as long as you, as the person, has the mental capacity to expand the definition of your compatibility, I guess, you can grow. Mm-hmm. And that Akidna even told him, you're invincible. And in the moments in which Al thinks that he is not invincible, that's when the glitch occurs.
Yes.
That's when all these things, because otherwise I think he is pretty much invincible. You know what I mean?
It's mentality.
It's only the moment in which another witch he sees, right? He sees a witch, the glitch happens, he sees the witch, and the witch is like, I'm a witch. Of course I can beat you. He's like, oh yeah, that's how it is. My stars are, that's the disbelief in himself that kind of destroys everything. It crumbles his entire foundation and renders his invincibility pointless.
Because because while she was saying that, which was clearly in her way, she was saying that she was trying to give him rest, to say it's okay that you failed, you tried your best, is the way she says that. But to Al, when he hears that, that's him hearing you're a failure that will never accomplish anything, and you never can, and that you're never going to succeed in anything you yourself set out to do. You're not invincible. Mm-hmm. Despite being told this entire time that he is, it's a really cruel thing to hear in his position, even though that was not the intent, right?
Right. I mean, it might have been.
It might.
They were on opposite sides of an actual fight. She could have been trying to hurt him, because he's done so much harm.
Mm-hmm. Horrible things, yeah. Another thing I want to bring out, last part about that, is that in that moment, the person who encouraged Petra to say that was Subaru.
Yes.
And as you were saying about the difference in mindsets between the two, that is clearly shown there. Even Arc 4 Subaru is
on the right path,
giving that conviction, showing the difference in their mindsets and why Al's viewpoint is so poor compared to Subaru's.
It's also I think this has been reinforced, especially with like the Subaru receding back to a kid in 7 and the rest of 8, where it like of the childhood like amazing person that can accomplish anything at this point of their life, and all of these things about potential and, you know, you're invincible and your stars were bad, it's fine. It's very much a thing of you are choosing that for yourself. And Subaru, despite struggling with those things innately, refuses in his core to give up those things to help others. And that's kind of where the opposite happened for Al, and it's gone wrong for him, right?
Right. Ultimately, Al's mindset is just one where, like, it goes back to his power. He's save scumming, and the moment something goes wrong that he can't save scum out of, then that's his defeat. Like, he's not doing things in the way that will lead him to success.
Yeah.
He's doing things in the way that he sees as the most immediate path forward to reach the goal that he's expecting to get to.
I mean, it's also why his power is so short-term in comparison to how long-term Subarus can be too, right? Like, it's very much that difference in perspective of the little picture that Al is seeing right now versus the big picture that Subaru has to see to do the things he has to do.
Exactly.
I think the idea of, you know, Al, you know, he's truly, his power, I think, is truly invincible. And I understand, like, you just need to kind of beat a save scummer. But I think, like, the way that it kind of manifests itself is truly all mental. You know what I mean? Because of the way that he can, just killing him. Like, stopping him is not enough because of the poison, right? And there's no poison nobody in the world who can stop that to instantly kill him, right? And when, you know, obviously we see how he's defeated, but like that sort of, you know, end point is impossible. And as soon as it becomes impossible for him to get out of that point, he just reflects it onto you, which I think is interesting. It's almost like a rebellion, you know, like he rebels against fate, even in those moments, because he hates it so much.
But he's not rebelling in the productive way, right? And it what's interesting with that too is that it's very much too that it's kind of in opposition again to Subaru, where in a lot of moments where he's failing and he's done something wrong, and he has to use the big picture with Return by Death and just even the lessons he's learned from the people around him to become a better person. Al kind of goes in the wrong direction in those turns. Like, whenever there's a moment of self-reflection possible, it's the I'm invincible lines he's hearing from Akidna. And when it's ever moments where he is maybe like he could be confident and he could be like, okay, yeah, I am invincible. Your stars were bad. It's just fate, bro. I'm sorry. Like,
It's pretty crazy. Do we want to talk about? Do you want to talk about his backstory right now, or a little bit about it?
I mean, yeah, we can jump into it. I think some of it's going to need to be reserved when we cover some side story stuff, but we got the main things, at least, like the big points that, I mean, we have his name. Like, it's Natski Rigel.
Yeah.
Which is nutty to have seen that.
Yeah.
To read.
And to read it as that was fresh off the print, too.
Absolutely insane.
No wonder why Twitter went crazy.
Went crazy, yeah. It's huge. And it's such a dramatic moment that it happens too. It's like really the most desperate last cry of, okay, this is my last card, I'm gonna use my true name. Like
fucking
honestly,
psych. Here's Felix.
Yeah. Hello, it's me, yeah.
Well, that was such an amazing moment to me, because that's when I knew that he was toasted pretty much, because the idea that he can't even kill himself anymore.
Yeah.
But like, it was so I wouldn't say it's emotional as in I felt bad for him, but I was just so excited in the moment of like, he is the way that he like freaks out at the end, where he's like, please eat, like he's like, please eat my memories, please. Like, and also this sort of like moment where you're just like, you bastard, because like when the dragon blows up the geyser, right? And all stuff, that was something he could never plan for. So when he says that, oh, finally, I finally am lucky, because that's like the last moment. It reminds me of in JoJo when Kira is like trying to escape.
Yes.
And then he does bites the dust.
Yes.
And he's like, I've done it, and then he gets, but he's like, he's secretly already screwed.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. You know what I mean?
I understand. There's a very big parallel between that kind of feeling of satisfaction of, oh, you think you're good? You bitch, you're done.
Yeah. Well, that then compounds even further when Reinhardt shows up. But like,
it's so sick.
Yeah. The idea of like, when he says those words to Roy and he's screaming his name, I'm like, everybody just heard that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, Petra says something that I think is very important, and it's what I felt this entire arc. She thinks something like, or maybe it's narration that says this. Petra Light's not so dumb of a girl to try to, like, theorize about the impossible right now.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt this entire arc, where I'm like, so I just heard something that makes no sense. Why should I? What good is there in trying to piece this together when it's pretty much impossible to understand fully? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wolf and I, when that chapter came out and I said, I need to talk about this with somebody and I don't want you to get spoiled, read this immediately, like drop what you're doing and read this. We probably speculated on different options for maybe 2.5 hours and ultimately came to, there's just no way to know.
Yeah.
We have no evidence to back this up. No. Is he just a copy? Is he a copy of Subaru, of Flugel? Does he come from Akidna's predictions of the book? Is this a younger brother that's time traveled? Is this Subaru's kid? It's there's just no way to know.
There's just no way.
And ultimately, it's kind of just not worth discussing at that point. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's whatever. It's very much a thing of, it's a puzzle piece, and it's cool speculating. But we kind of just have to wait for the answer, and that's not a frustrating thing. I think that's kind of cool. I think that we have all of these interesting things that you can think about, but can't quite find the answer. It's genius. Like, it's a great way to write a mystery, and it's. I think it's helped bring back a lot of the mystery elements of ReZero, because one of ReZero's strongest moments is the mystery of figuring out what's going on. Earlier arcs, it's figuring out what the fuck is killing me and why the fuck are they doing it, right? But now it's, what the fuck are these big things? What does all this mystical shit mean? Why is this guy's name this name? And we can't figure it out until we actually get to that answer.
Sometimes not knowing is more fun than knowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's the part we're at right now. You know, of course I know there's answers to all these questions, but in the journey of it right now, I'm having a lot of fun, thinking about it. And we could theorize loosely, but I just want to say that this entire time, my philosophy with it is, as we were talking about earlier, which is, we can't know. But that doesn't mean it's not that we can't theorize about it. It's just that obviously we don't have all the, none of us have the answers to say anything definitively. So if you hear anybody saying
that will rectify things that we just can't have right now.
I think it's interesting. We'll probably discuss our theories at the end about stuff, but yeah.
However, what we can talk about is him being another student of what appears to be a third instance of Akidna.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. I mean, I've talked about this before, but Akidna is shaping up to be the final villain of the story. When I say that, it's because, well, she even says something very interesting, something about her party, right? And this was 400 years ago, that was confirmed in the chapter, when she first talks to Al before she seals him, right? And in that moment, she says something about Flugel, right?
Yes.
Do you remember exactly what she said? I forgot.
Yeah, so we can talk. This is the stuff I'm actually really excited to talk about, because this is like hard confirmation things we learn, and also really sets like some interesting background stuff here. So Al's whole deal was that he was this Echidna's version, like weapon to kill Satella, to kill Envy, to defeat Envy.
Right.
And
she said she created him, so I believe her.
Yeah, and this is where the confusion element comes from. He's created, and his body is not his own, from what we understand, but he has parents, and he is a person. So there's things to rectify there, but essentially, Al was Echidna's weapon to try and defeat Envy. It was her path to do it, But she mentions when they fail that Flugel, it's got to be Flugel's group that does this, and she's like, oh, it's such a shame that this is how it has to go. But this adds like a really interesting element of, oh yeah, there was these two different groups trying to figure out the Satella and Envy problem at the same time, and they kind of both failed, right? Like it seems like Flugel's group didn't like end off perfectly either for what they needed and wanted.
I mean, they got her sealed, but ultimately it doesn't seem like things worked perfectly.
Yeah, like it seems like it was kind of like the bad end to a visual novel, but it, life 400 years for both parties.
It was a stopgap.
Yeah.
And as far as like I'm concerned about this is that maybe we'll learn more about spirit swapping and stuff like that, because that has been a theme thus far in the story,
especially with Akidna.
With Akidna, yes, all the stuff about the soul and the body and all this stuff, and artificial spirits and artificial bodies.
It really does make sense especially after learning all of this stuff in the previous arcs. Like it clicks when this moment happens.
Yes, and it definitely feels like Al is truly a Frankenstein. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the idea, and we get the ideas of that with his grotesque body, his deformations and stuff like that. Him being like created almost, like the idea that he is a truly artificial man. I don't know if that is 100% the case, but we'll figure that out later.
I mean, it just explains his self-worth stuff too, right? Like just how, like, not especially after his training to make him numb to all of this pain and death, but also like the complicated feelings he has about himself and his parents and all of these other things. Like it's really sad. It's just pitiable. Like you just fuck.
Yeah, thematically he's definitely a Frankenstein's monster, and that's the pity that you feel for him. It's hard not to feel that way.
The cruelness of your creator.
He doesn't even know how to love. That's the idea, those themes about him not understanding love makes a lot more sense when you realize that he's truly just dropped in here without understanding his purpose or feeling like he's failed his purpose of existing, and that all just makes sense. And he almost forgot that he even cared about that. He tried to find his own with Priscilla, but then,
we also
happened.
We get the famous Akidna line, why does love always fade? So like a Greedive episode at some point within the future is might be a good idea. Specifically, but just for the parallels between our situation and Greedive Subaru. That's
definitely relevant.
Own thing is kind of like it's just own thing, but like it definitely just adds thematic parallels there, which I think are kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And depending on which way the story is going, I don't know how relevant the ifs are.
I'm gonna hold to Tape's word that they aren't actually relevant at all. It's just was opportunities for him to show some stuff off ahead of time, which seems to be the case. He showed off some names and he showed off some important characters the last couple of arcs.
Yeah, I agree. But I think alternate timelines are probably a thing in some form or fashion, but whatever.
I am
maybe not the ifs.
So put up and done with alternate worlds and alternate timelines from media the last decade.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't want it to be the case. Like to such a degree.
I'm not
more
saying
than I didn't want this
evidence
ending.
That exists. I'm saying that if I were to compile all of the potential evidence, I feel like there is things that points to yes and points to no, but yes.
But I think that's one of the few like truths Akidna has said in the story so far, like complete truths, not like white lies of omission, that there is truly only one.
Well, this version of Akidna is very interesting because it seems like a version of Akidna when she was the witch whom was interested in experimenting with magic still, and not the witch who taught other people the fruits of her labor.
But she still has some sort of emotion.
Yeah,
somewhat
it's like it's an in-between state from the Witch of Greed Subaru and Emilia meet in Arc 4 versus Mother that Beatrice and Roswell knew. Like it's not either of them.
I'm now thinking that this is kind of crazy, but what if she was the Witch of Greed and then became a kid? You know what I mean? Like she learned how to become a person.
Well, I think that's kind of been evident for a while because the young version of her, the Witch of Greed, and the saved off version that's handling the trials and is now Omega, is like this younger more evil and cruel version, but the one that Beatrice and Roswell knew was a kinder, more benevolent teacher. That because it was in the real world, was the one that sacrificed herself for Al.
Yeah.
Something that it seems like the version that he talks to didn't see coming because she wouldn't have ever done it.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't seem to be the same one that Amelia and Subaru speak with.
Yeah, it's very it's interesting. It's very much the wait, there's a third one of you now? What the fuck?
And just for clarification, the evidence of that is that when Al forces himself into the to the tea party, like into the graveyard or what the dreamscape or whatever it's got its actual name for, is that he doesn't associate this. Like he doesn't recognize it as the same one. She acts differently, he treats her differently, he sees her differently. So the kind of speculation I've had previously with that is at some point the Witch of Greed, Akidna, saved herself off in a separate space to deal with whatever the situation that Al exists in. Like that was made kind of for him in that instance. And that when she actually died and everything started to move on, in the same way that the other witches were preserved at their kind of extreme compatibility with their authority, which is kind of like how Al is a duplicate of another authority given physical form in some way. Like it's clear like his is a copy of Envy in that instance. That the version of Echidna that was most in tune with greed is the one that manifested as this afterlife soul of hers, and that one kind of kicked out Al's teacher, who could be, this is just tinfoil, but it could be Scarf Donna. It could be Aridna. She has no memories of herself, obviously.
Wow.
And she identifies herself as Echidna. She uses that name. So if she came from a purely spiritual existence where she didn't have a physical form and then took one on, just takes the form of a spirit, makes the most sense to me. And that reduces the number of Echidnas from 4 to 3.
It also it fills up the potential plot hole of if say for whatever reason somehow teacher Echidna and Al Sensei were the same person, then we would see that the preserved body of teacher Echidna would not have any of her limbs, right? So because she explicitly loses all of them in this fight, Al Sensei, so there's very clear like physical evidence that there's differentiation there.
That part's a little confusing because who's to say like how much of like magic restored a corpse and everything, and
that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. One of the things, I mean, with Echidna's experiments, the level of which they're pervasive throughout the story and the extent to which we can almost, I feel like if we spent the time, figure out the date of all of her experiments at this point and make a timeline of them, like depending on how far her magic has advanced and the nature and perhaps goal of each of them. Mm-hmm. We now have so many scattered things that she's done or used, especially in realms of the soul, that I feel like if we thought hard enough, we could probably piece it together.
I have mapped out a lot of this already, actually, where her given order so far is Puck is her first creation. It's like the first thing that she has and does, which I think Puck himself is a similar instance to Al, in that he's probably a copy of somebody else given to a spiritual form. After Puck would need to be Al, because the Echidna that speaks to him references a different Echidna that's not her. So one that came after is the one that did Beatrice, who follows up after Al, but she never meets him. She has no memory of Aldebaran, so he must have been isolated from her the entire time. After Beatrice, we lose Puck, and then we get Roswell, and then Mother Akidna dies at some point, is then pursued to be resurrected by Roswell for hundreds of years.
And then Ryuzu clones and Omega exists.
Yeah.
And Omega doesn't have any of Echidna's memories.
Omega does. Scarf Donna does not.
Yeah.
And Mega doesn't. Okay, Mega does, but does Omega even remember? Like, does Omega even recognize Aldebaran? Because that's a good question.
I don't think so. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Omega is the same Akidna that Subaru and Amelia know. So, like, I guess to make things easier, we can have. We'll call her Mother is the one that dies in Sanctuary. Knows Ryuzu. Knows like Mother's Beatrice. Like that's who Roswell's coming after. Then we have Sensei, who is Al's teacher. Scarf Donna and Omega is the super evil one.
Yeah.
If we can keep that straight.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But now I believe that Sensei turns into Scarf Donna because Omega kicks her out of the Sanctuary or the Witch's Graveyard or whatever it's supposed to be. They don't know how, but that is my expectation for what happened there.
Right. And the cloning technology continues. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Well, I think we're on the right track there. One thing to be said about this entire thing is there's definitely a level of defeat that occurs between Al and fighting Akidna, but it seems as if it doesn't even matter at the end, you know? Or sorry, Al and fighting Satella. It doesn't even matter at the end, and he loses his arm.
Yeah,
and she decides that Al is better off as a contingency plan because I think Akidna figures that sealing Satella isn't enough, and that maybe he's useful somewhere else. And how does he get dropped into Gladiator Island?
Who fucking knows?
That's the big who fucking knows.
My expectation is that Sensei seals Al up with the belief that she overestimated her abilities to control fate by putting the motions that she saw in the Book of Wisdom, like the events that she sees Subaru do later on, and trying to skip to them. Like set up the scenario of what she sees is the future, and making it happen sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when that doesn't work, she sets him up to then come back and be ready to deal with it later.
It's why his name is why she calls him Aldebaran. That's why she gives him that.
Yeah, that's right. And it makes sense when you think of it as a scientist who tries their hardest. Like, in this world, there's magic and fate and whatnot, who tries to put together the perfect equation to rewrite the rules of reality, right? And everything looks good on the equation. The numbers are numbering. The math is mathing. She does it. She sends Al out, and then he comes back and loses. And she's like, damn. I mean, I did everything right, so I don't know. I guess your stars were bad, right?
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, I guess we witches are insane, and that's the kind of the counter to your power, isn't it? Fuck, my bad.
Because that's how authorities are, yeah. Authorities do rewrite the rules of reality, so that's the idea behind it. And yeah, I think that makes sense. So yeah, the idea that she perceived that and then probably foresaw another use, which is Subaru, right?
Yeah.
Subaru is the final equation to this. And it's the reason why he's Natski Rigel and all this stuff. And yeah.
It very much the one thing I think we can say certainly about Al's existence is that he's Sensei's version of an in-between between Flugel and the idea of what Subaru is supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree with
the
that.
irony being that Subaru defies fate, and Akidna's looking at this fated Subaru in the future and being like, fuck, I need my version now. I'm write that down. And it doesn't work because she's trying to follow fate and not defy it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which, I mean, at a certain point, when you have a book written out that tells you exactly how things are going to go, and all your experiments tend to point in that direction.
Yeah.
When do you just give up, too?
Yeah. Like, isn't that kind of cruel in its own way of, like, if you do know everything, isn't everything, like, predestined? Like, there's, in your view, you can't change it, right?
Right, which I think is kind of, that might be what pushes her to change her perspective on the world more.
Exactly.
And to start leaving an impact through her daughter and her students instead of, like, her relentless pursuit of immortality normally.
And her desire to save the people around her. Yeah. Like,
obviously, I'm saying obviously, and that's probably nothing's too obvious in the story. There's sort of like an intuition for her that she needs to experience all the possibilities of life because she realizes that in order to defy fate, she probably thinks that there's a way to do it, right? You just have to try every single scenario, and then you'll figure it out.
Again,
right?
scientists
figure out
run all the tests, figure it out, not realizing that by the process of learning and doing that, she becomes a human being. You know,
Yeah.
who then has her own faults and chooses to sacrifice herself for the people she loves. But in doing so, that adds like a very beautiful character arc to her that I think kind of in her own earlier attempts to keep herself alive and immortal is tragic. Because all of this stuff after her death is kind of muddying the person she became.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. More Echidna, I think, will end up being one of the main villains of the story.
Specifically,
but
probably
this arc, Omega, right? But this arc kind of made me think a little bit like characters like Al, we pity, right? Characters like Echidna, I think, will end up pitying a version of her, right? That makes me wonder if Subaru can't fight her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like even in the end where in Arc 4, where it looks like he finally does overcome her machinations and her whims and everything, it ends up all being according to her plan anyway, and she escapes into Ryuzu's body.
Oh, so you picked the greediest and most difficult path? Wow, shit, that aligns with my ideology perfectly. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, there's really the atmosphere of, sure, she's a incomprehensible witch like all others, right? But we kind of end up, by the end of the story being like, end of that arc being like, well, all the witches have a decent part to them, some humane part to them. Even that evil, bad witch cried at Amelia, this sort of grief that she had that, we're still wondering about. And with that being said, it's like, okay, so who's the main enemy of this? Is it Sotella? But no, Sotella's going to be saved. Is it Echidna? Well, Echidna obviously needs to have a reunion with Roswell at some point, and Betty and whatnot, and then we need to kind of figure out. And it's like, yeah, I understand the story is not about villains in a sense.
But
it's just interesting. The more that I this arc kind of played out, I was like, even Al, we need to save in some sense. That's the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's Subaru. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I have to save him. Subaru doesn't view. It's very much. It is. Al was the antagonist of this arc. Al was not the villain of this arc.
That might be a matter of debate. I would still say he was the villain of the arc. He was being a malicious, evil monster the entire time. He was just not taking people's lives in the realm that continues. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
He did kill people over and over and over again until he found Otto.
Yeah. But that's the shortcuts this fucked up guy is taking, right?
Yeah. We can debate the philosophy of that because obviously they're playing into their insane games. Everybody was insane here,
One fun thing I think is kind of like a fun idea with because one of the last things I'll mention about the whole Natski Rigel thing is it really takes me back to that moment in Arc 6 in the Natski Subaru chapter where the Subaru is talking to Amnesia Baru and he's like, hey bro, oh should I call you cousin? How does this relationship work? And I feel it kind of feels like Topei is kind of joking around along with that, honestly. I think that's kind of a fun idea to think about.
Yeah, that's fair. It's totally fair with it.
But let's see. I guess if we're going to talk other big things about the arc, should we talk about Petra for here?
Yes, Petra, honestly, my MVP for all of Arc 9. She has been so great the entire time. It's been a delight to read.
Yeah, she honestly, Petra, this arc is amazing, and I think obviously people are sad that we aren't getting this version of Petra because I think what she becomes and everything she overcomes is so amazing, I think. Like,
But I'm happy she doesn't have
truly.
to sacrifice all of her innocence and all of her
The ability
Yeah.
to stare up happily at a rainbow.
Is it is it very cool and kind of badass and very Petra to do? Yeah, but I'm happy that she gets to not be the Witch of Melancholy this time around.
Yeah, people can't even brush her hair for her,
Yeah.
all those things that, she
All the things she wants Subaru to do for her, right?
right, that idea. And what I'll say is that this is the perfect character to introduce only for an arc.
Yes.
What I mean is that this character is good because of the fact that it's ephemeral. I feel like, it's at
Yeah,
Petra
I
even
agree
knew
with
it when she was saying it. She was like, "This who I'm becoming, I can never, if I go down this path, I'll never unbecome it." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm no longer the girl from the village. I'm something else. And that's what she ended up becoming. She became the Witch of Tricistia, and
Yeah.
the Witch of Melancholy, I guess we'll say.
And it's really funny too because she gets Subaru's memories and like ideas about tropes and archetypes. She's simultaneously saying that as, oh yeah, that was my trope as a character, but also kind of like the tragedy of the role who she wanted to be behind, right? She doesn't want to be the Witch of Melancholy, right? Like,
No,
There's
she
something
wants to marry
badass.
Subaru.
yeah, she wants to
Yeah.
get her mans.
I think there's something amazingly. I think Tapei did such a smart. There's few lines that you can deliver that sound cringe on the surface, but when you know the plot, it's actually really like smart and clever. And it's as Petra was saying that she's an isekai girl, so of course I'm going to win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's,
I thought that was so clever because I was like, she knows Subaru's memories.
yeah.
So she's like, yeah, just to him, I'm an isekai girl. So I'm supposed to be amazing and I'm supposed to be, but she's just a girl from a small town. And it's like amazing how she's evolved herself,
It's beyond fourth
Yeah.
wall. It's like fifth wall. It's like, oh yeah, so this is ironic and funny, but also I'm using that as an in joke with the person I love. It's not, just it's so sweet and just in context, it hits so hard. I think there's so many moments like that all throughout this arc, but specifically this phase where we see so much of the Witch of Melancholy, Petra, that just there's so many poignant lines and moments from her, especially when when she's getting glitched by Ao and she's going through all of the terrible pain and emotions that Subaru goes through when he RBDs, right? It really, there's a moment of horror that hits you because we've almost as an audience been desensitized to how horrible this is for Ao and Subaru, right?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
getting that freshness with the fresh despair and just helplessness with Petra, it just hurts and it really rips at you. But it like when you get to hear the lines that she counters Ao with, when she's finally like just kind of sadly smiling at him and pitying him like the audience does at the end there, it just hits and it speaks to the themes of the story and the arc so well. And I think she was just such a good vehicle for this arc and to carry the next phase of the story over. I'm just so proud of Petra. You did great, girl. You did good.
Well,
She did.
she's really the protagonist of this arc. Well, in terms of the Amelia camp, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's something I would have. It's so unexpected, and that's the amazing part about ReZero and how all the arcs feel different. Not only like tonally or what they're about or like the overall mood or tone, but like the fact that one arc, I could not. There's just no way you could ever expect anything to happen in this arc.
Nope.
The characters that are getting the focus. The characters that you'll feel the most for. Even at the beginning of this arc, like the first events of the arc, I was just like not even thinking about Petra at all. And just like the fact that it's evolved so amazingly, she is now cemented herself as a real important character in an arc I didn't even think she was really gonna be relevant at all in. You know what I mean?
It's
No, she's just randomly there with Super when he gets to the inn.
yeah. It's kind of it's a similar moment to Otto in Arc 4 of like, oh, you weren't in the book. What are you doing here? Why are you so important, right? Like
Yeah.
not realizing
And apparent.
that it's very much as you were saying earlier with the Yay stuff, Gold, of special for someone else, being special for the people you care about, right? Like it changes people. It makes people step up and do amazing things that you would think would be impossible in human feats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I mean, they are, but they are impossible on human feet.
Yeah, technically
90%
for
of the time.
us, impossible.
Well,
Yeah.
Feasible for
we
them.
can't do all of this. Yeah. And one thing that I learned is that apparently, Tepe said that the first person to learn by return by death wasn't originally supposed to be Petra. These are the type of things that evolve over time.
Yeah,
I think characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I love about Tepe's writing style too, is he lets the characters like evolve and build throughout the story naturally. And so when he meets a moment that happens because that's what this character would do, he lets it play out. He lets that happen. He says, okay, I have this plan and set idea, but this is where the writing is taking me. This is where this character is going, and I have to respect that. And I think that's it speaks so much to his skill and quality as a writer that the characters are coming off the pages at this point, right? Like,
he's also like really shown just how well he can think through the scenes. Because I think one of the problems you can have when writing a character like Al that can just reset over and over and over again until he figures out the way to escape is you need to figure out how he can get out of an impossible situation like that.
It's unbelievable to just say, and then he gets out of the situation. Every single moment that we see with Al, and I know you're about to say this, feels like I couldn't come up with it, but then when he says it, I'm like, well, of course, that makes
obvious.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you think about it's those pedantic arguments people have of like, why didn't they do X, Y, and Z to kill the killer? Al, you have to have that argument with yourself when you're writing a character like Al. So he's in the library of Taigeta. He's completely overwhelmed. How the hell does he make sure that when he goes up to fight Reinhardt, that he has a way to stop him? He has to, there's a way to summon Satella right there with Subaru's book. Yes. Eventually, he is going to get that outcome.
Yeah, it's very much... I think it's also it's a simultaneous thing of Tepe respecting the audience's intelligence and also respecting his character's intelligence, because there's so much media and there's nothing more that I think frustrates me in media where all the characters apart from the main character are dumbed down so the main character can do their things.
Yes.
It's beyond frustrating. It feels so unearned and so it's so annoying. It's very unimmersive. It takes you out the story. But all of these characters are thinking these things out, and when they have the abilities to like use here, they're using them to the fullest extent they possibly could in that moment. Like Al's thinking ahead in that moment of, okay, how the fuck do I win this scenario? Okay, boom, Book of the Dead to Dragon, it's time, you know?
Yeah, characters having a level of agency and intelligence for the story makes the scenarios in which this arc feels complete because of the fact that all the characters do everything and more, I think like even in moments, we were talking about Petra earlier, in the moment in which she's trying to like overcome Al's thing, there's a foregone conclusion of, okay, well, she has to get out of this. And you're reading it and you're like, okay, just get to the point where she gets out of this, right? But then you start realizing that no, the torment and torture, even as she's convicted against it, even when she knows that it's coming, and then how her mindset slowly shifts, feels so natural. It's just I love that.
It's just so human and refreshing, and it's always it's like the special magic thing about ReZero of just these characters and their humanity and just their naturalness, and it's something that I think other series have gotten close to, but I don't think any series personally for me has ever fully captured that as much as this story has.
No, very much not in that way that really sticks to, I guess, just who they are so consistently.
Yeah. Like the silhouette definition of themselves they have in their head, almost. But
now, go ahead. Mine's a transition.
But with Petra setting everything up as best she can to get that reset, and her letting Roy eat her. Oh my god. Oh, it's simultaneously like, oh god, I'm so proud of her, and also fuck, that's so sad. But yeah,
I mean, in defense of that though, I wasn't really sad. I mean, like, I thought, oh, this is a really good plan to get Reinhardt to be able to come here now. Yeah. But Roy was dying.
Yeah,
like he was going to be dead in a couple seconds later, and as we saw with Rom killing Lai, like undigested names come back when you kill them.
Yeah.
Like, they got Amelia's name back instantly. Roy would not have had time to digest and consume Petra to that extent. She would have been fine.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things too of, I guess if we're transitioning, because I think we've spoken pretty well on Petra, we can maybe talk about a little bit about that Reinhardt moment near the end there that she sets up specifically, because that was a really entertaining read. Like, just how
I thought it was going to get stuck in an infinite loop there for a moment, honestly, with Reinhardt. He just cut him in half. He killed him. And that's going to like overwhelm the spell. I was just going to keep looping here, constantly getting cut in half. And like, oh no.
Him drawing the dragon sword for the orb, though, wasn't that fucking sick?
Okay, yes, it was. That was an amazing moment. I just want to say the idea of, Al, things work out right for him so well. The idea that because Felix is constantly resurrecting himself, the magic's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Reinhardt comes down, slashes him in half. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
He doesn't. Yeah, he just regenerates, and then this is what I meant earlier when I say that Al just lets him return by death. I think at that point, Al's only manner of escape of not dying from him is by taking out that orb. And he says, you can't break it. It's not even the dragon breaks it. As soon as he breaks it and frees Subaru, that was the end of him, right? But that was the best case scenario at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't.
Al.
I know you're saying to take out the orb, but it's not like it was his decision. Al swallowed the orb back early on in the arc.
Yeah, Reinhardt.
So that's why Reinhardt cut him in half.
Yes.
What is the interesting thing about this Reinhardt moment is we get a bit more context about the divine protection of the Phoenix, right? Where not only does he get to choose it and use it whenever, he gets to choose where he fucking resurrects this OP bastard. He just could choose where he's resurrected.
He kills himself.
Yeah, he kills himself. And this is yet another like sad parallel between Reinhardt as a hero versus Subaru as a hero. And I don't know, whilst it was a really awesome moment to see the Dragon Sword cut open the orb, Reinhardt doing that, just fuck. If I was Heinkel and I knew he did that,
Yeah, but at a certain point, I don't think it's the same as how Al and Subaru kill themselves, because Reinhardt has bullshit like, I can ignore all pain in instants. And really, it's just like he has an instant heal available that he tricks with death. The parallel is there for sure, but I don't think it's as pitiable or like sympathetic as it is for Al or Subaru.
But I guess what we can talk about here is the conditions to draw the Dragon Sword here. Is it because Subaru is worthy of it, or is it because Subaru needs to be here? What are the conditions?
I think it's an impossibility. What I mean is, I think that the nature of the sword is I need to win, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it has to
bend reality. Like,
I mean, it comes
if
to its desire, right?
Yeah, if Reinhardt cannot beat it normally, then he can draw the sword. The idea is that the sword allows you to do things that are impossible. I think that's what's set up, and I think it's also set up to the point of like he has something to do with, as I said before, the observers and stars and stuff like that, and what it means for him to rewrite fate. He is on the side of fate.
Yes.
If it is important for Subaru to be freed here, if it's in the book that Akidna read or whatever, then yes, he will free so that Al doesn't get what he wants. You know what I mean?
But this adds an interesting thing because out of story, something Tepe has said is that Reinhardt's POV in itself is a spoiler, right? And that he knows something about the
will be a spoiler because we have gotten his POV like one or two times.
Yeah, but like his wider knowledge of stuff is going to reveal one of the last puzzle pieces. And this kind of contextually adds something to when Reinhardt first meets Subaru, and his attitude towards him immediately as like he beats him, right? There's something there of Reinhardt knows that Subaru is playing a role of something. Like Reinhardt has knowledge about this. I think he genuinely might be aware that Subaru is a sage candidate, and that's his whole.
It was said that when this was a Tepe Twitter comment moment that I remember reading, that when what was Reinhardt's first thoughts when seeing Subaru? And Tepe said it wasn't pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me. Yeah.
Because again, this is a instrument of fate. If there's because before there was this group, there was the dragon, there was the hero, and the sage. If he sees the sage candidate, I need to be the capital H hero again, right? Like, because again, that's a burden on Reinhardt. He doesn't necessarily want to be this thing.
Now, in hindsight as well, though, Tape has said in similar interviews that Reinhardt considers Subaru to be his best friend, like the greatest friend he's ever had, even though they've spoken like 3 times.
That's the difference between I see the person that cements I have to be the capital H hero due to fate, and this person blows past my expectations as genuinely an awesome person that I can consider a true friend.
Because now that I think about it, it recontextualizes the idea of Reinhardt being surprised by Subaru. Mm-hmm. If he has a misconception, or he's he is thinking that he's evil or bad in some way, and then he's realizing that that's not the case and surprised by it.
I think it's also the best friend element. I think also comes from Reinhardt, of Subaru being like, I will fill in the gaps that you can't. That moment in Arc 5 specifically, I think, is where the true friendship, at least on Reinhardt's level, of this is someone I can consider a friend, happens, right? Because before, he's treating Subaru like he treats Julius and Felix, of like a close acquaintance and friend, but there's some sort of distance unreachable there. Now they've got this bond, though, we're going to get that really upsetting line of, a hero's all you can be, Reinhardt, from the trial line. That is going to be a main line.
Honestly, an interesting part about this, that line is going to be great. And I think the reason why that line is going to come sooner rather than later is because of everything coming out of the next arc.
Yes.
But I just wanted to touch on, as you said before, his friends right now, Felix the Blue, right? I think this arc kind of recontextualized it and reminded me, Felix is that important. Mm-hmm. And this arc, even at the end, says that by his very existence, Felix has increased the understanding of healing magic by 4-fold or something like that in the world. Like, other people are able to use healing magic at a better rate because of his existence.
Yeah.
I just thought that that's interesting. Yeah. So, like, when he judges somebody as friend, I think Reinhardt sees somebody like him who fate or perhaps can also rewrite the rules of reality, I think he sees exceptional talents and respects that.
I think also specifically in Julius's instance, he sees a person who wants to be a hero wholeheartedly but didn't have to be, and that he worked for it, and it's something he immensely respects in his own position.
It's the opposite, right? Yeah. It's the opposite of what Reinhardt experienced.
It's the exact opposite. And I think that's why he treasures Julius a lot, from my understanding. It's very much this is a person I can respect wholeheartedly. And I think it's a similar vibe for him and Subaru there too.
Well, it was. Doesn't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. One of the things that I wanted to bring up about the sword, right, the dragon sword real quick, is the fact that it recontextualizes the fact that when Cecilus fought Reinhardt and they fought with the sword, it was a draw. Mm-hmm. Which now I'm thinking about, and I'm like, how's that even possible?
I mean, if Cecilus has reached the Heavenly Sword, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's where that possibility comes in and makes it a draw.
Yeah. Anyway,
he's just too good that fate can't stop him.
I feel like the Dragon Sword.
We did learn that. Yeah, we did.
I feel like the Dragon Sword is literally a hack that kind of like uses the Heavenly Sword attribute to cut the universe and make it do what it needs.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder. Status quo exists for a reason, and might be Pandora's status quo, might be somebody else's. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Also, now that we know the whole Dragonkin situation with Klein, I wonder what his thoughts on the Dragon Sword are. That would be kind of interesting to learn at some point.
Probably similar to anything that Volcanica did that he didn't do. It wasn't exactly me.
Yeah. It's just
even when Klein sees that Volcanic is dead, it's not like he really cares.
Well, because it's the dragon husk, right? It's not the dragon.
Yeah, thought that was an interesting note.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Klein also, I mean, throughout this arc, I gained a whole. I mean, of course, we had no respect for him.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I want to see more Klein.
Yeah.
In the main
I'm like, wait. I like Klein. Wait, hold on.
The biggest achievement of this arc is taking the most hated character of all of ReZero, not only making him cool, but making people not hate him and wanting to see more. And excited for the next time he comes back.
Yeah, but it might be the perfect recontextualization of a character. Like, this might be the perfect example of that I can think of in media now. Like, it's genuinely insane. Like, the way Teppei pulls this boy up from the mud, and I'm like, wait, it was actually all just draconic wisdom all along? Fuck, that makes so much sense. That's insane.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, but also, oh my God, thank you, fuck.
And you know what? Gotta give respect to Frederica. She saw the light in him from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
She's into him.
It's all clicking. Yo, this is why Frederica's gonna be important in the later part of the story, guys. Oh. But
I like the two touches, which is Klein. Now still has the witch factor. 2, he like his reaction to Petra giving up the thought of marrying Subaru, or like the ability to marry Subaru, and like his Petra saying something like, I remember how distraught his face looked as I said that, like how sad he was for me. And that's just like a level of emotion that I'm just like, wow, Klein, I never expected, and now Petra's Petra Bauman. So is that like his daughter? You know what I mean? I'm sure in the future we'll get more of that.
So she chose for her whole operation of, I have to change my name to make sure that it works for the gluttony stuff, and then being able to reveal it whenever I want. I think the Bauman thing was her choosing the second name of the person she thinks the most.
Respected the most.
Yeah.
That was kind of it was implied that's what everyone did.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. I'm just saying that in the future, I wonder if that would be paralleled more with their relationship being, yeah.
I mean, I'm now totally fine with it, honestly, at this point.
Agreed.
But on that note, I guess, that the sadness that Klein felt when Petra said that, it's just so crazy to me that we can now say that the being that was once the fucking divine dragon Volcanica trained Subaru in parkour and whip shit.
Yeah, that's a wild thing to have understood.
Yeah.
Huh.
That also connects the dots of, oh yeah, the capital H hero, capital S sage, and oh my God, the fucking dragon.
And the dragon's been there the whole time.
Yeah, the dragon's
It's no
been
longer
there the whole time.
Patricia. It's now. I see. Well,
Yeah. And what's interesting there too is it very much, from the little information we've gleaned about this past, it seems like Volcanica was the mentor figure of that group, which then just adds the seasoning. Great job to pay. Gluttonous eating.
Gluttony. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, let's think.
Gluttony was good this arc.
Oh, this is
Gluttony was pretty good this
Gluttony
arc.
was
Roy
this arc. Roy was putting
Roy becoming my favorite Gluttony was not a lightning
Not
card
like-
for arc 9.
No, it was
This
not.
were random. I'm glad he's not dead. I mean,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
when he got killed like twice, I was like, oh, sad. But I was like, oh, good, he's still around.
I am so because Roy before was like such a nothing burger of a character for me.
He was the worst one. It felt like completely pointless to have him there.
There was a reason for that now, right? And it's like, oh my God, dude, it's so cool.
Weirdly, I understand him the most.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's so crazy that you can understand the crazy logic.
Yeah.
Like, he's wants to just gorge on the power that he has. And at a certain point, that's gone so far into the insane realm that it's circled back to being sane again.
Yeah, it's the horseshoe effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting too is the epithet that everyone calls him of, which is like bizarre
eating,
is where his true epithet that he comes to in Arc 9 is the cannibal, right? I think just of how, I wonder if I could eat sister, or I wish I could have eaten Lai. It's like, holy shit, the crazy logic is kind of insane, but also really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Disgusting.
And also, that means the Black Serpent's still alive and all this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's its own other bag of worms too.
Yeah, which I think makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But also, wow, his authority leveling up was something I was like, damn,
It was so
that was
cool.
a crazy moment.
But it just makes so much sense too that like just seeing an evolution of that like live in the story adds so much like potential interesting elements for all of the
From the villains too, not
villains,
just
too.
like evolving it in Subaru,
which then
which we've
makes
seen
it
happen
so
before.
our expectations for what the villains can do has expanded, which makes the stakes higher, and it's such a genius move from to pay because we get to see
Yeah, now
Yeah.
because that means that Capella can. She's not at her 100% power.
Yeah. Until she meets a challenge that truly makes her expand her boundaries. Who's to say have we seen what she can truly do, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Capella is is obviously I think this is something that, I think a lot of us probably agree with, is that I think she's one of my favorite witch cultists.
Oh, yeah.
Or my favorite Centaur Bishop, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she's so evil that you love hating her, right? Like,
She's just fun to watch.
yeah,
She's
also
fun,
entertaining.
yeah.
She
says funny
she's very much the
things.
opposite of Regulus in this way, where you're like, oh my god, fucking shut up, man. Please stop talking. Where Capella is just like, you're so crazy. Keep going, girl. I'll listen.
I mean, of course, like, the anime helped that so much. I mean,
Yes.
I enjoyed her before, obviously.
Yeah.
And we knew what her voice was going to sound like even before we heard it.
Yeah, and
But
the voice was amazing, but the actual like body
animation,
language element
yeah.
was like perfection, right?
Huh?
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
so
I understood
good.
it. Huh? Which
It's
your
just
face
so
goes
good.
like.
And also when she's in the dragon form and she's laughing maniacally. It's so good. But yeah.
I guess kind of speaking of though,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we've talked on the ending of the arc, but we haven't talked on the end
end
of the arc of our little snippets, not only into the like resolution of suck it Roswell, you don't get extra territory, but like a peek into the throne room of Lagunica again with the Council of Wise Men.
The Council of Wise Men, yep. And it's Mickeltorp's back. Woo!
Every time I see his name, I'm like, God damn it.
Every time I see his name, I'm like, that's him! It's the man!
It's the guy.
It's the guy from EX1!
Oh, real quick before we move on to this ending, though, we did get like a little Fourier hint
Got a Fourier moment
from Felix.
Yes! When I read that, I screamed out loud like a little girl. I was like,
Honestly, now that I think about this Arc 9, how crazy it is, I'm like, wait a second. Arc 10 might just go there.
Yeah, it's because like if this is implying that this is what would effectively be quote unquote Fourier's, I think his niece. Or I think his niece in this circumstance, like the kid of one of the princes. It's either a niece or a cousin, but it does up in the succession. But that's got to be so conflicting for Felix too.
yes.
Like all these people have like the same face. They all look really, really similar to each other, down to the fucking snaggletooth.
Yeah.
That's got to be conflicting for him. Like dealing with that.
That's the cool part about this arc, and that's the reason why his inclusion at the end of the arc makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Is because Felix now has this moment where he has to be like, yeah, maybe I'm with this person.
And not Crew.
Because Furrier, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like it's different decisions pulling at Felix. It's going to be such an interesting character moment from his perspective. I'm really excited to see.
Mm-hmm. Very much. It's going to be heartbreaking, but also exciting.
This adds dimensions to the sadness of Crucia's whole situation, and if Subaru can make Gluttony maybe spit out her memories too, like what's going to go on with her, right? Because I think obviously there's Julius too, but I think the two people he's most centered on fixing is Rem and Crush specifically.
Yeah, because they're the two people that I think he feels the most regret over. I mean, they happen at the same time.
And Crush is one of the first people I think he very cemented himself, that trusted him, saw like his potential as an actualized person, and acknowledged him. And it's really important.
It taught him a lot.
Yeah, and
it's primarily her words that, despite him not listening at the moment, that he takes into the final loop. Or not the final loop, but the successful loop in the battle against the White Whale. Like what change the first thing he decides to change about himself after the talk with Rem is Crucia's advice about him.
Yeah.
And with that being said, like he, Felix in the scenario, I feel like there's an opportunity, and it's just my brain and how this next arc's gonna go. Slight prediction. The new what's her name? Sorry, what's the
Filore?
What did they say? Filore. The new Filore, right, is going to say, "Hey, I can fix Krush, but you have to say Krush drops out of the race, and that you're supporting me now."
I mean,
Something like that.
It might be possible that she demands that. I mean, obviously, we are all under the suspicion and expectation that this is Capella. But
yeah.
it just makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense. Yeah. It also it brings up the story in an interesting way. Yeah.
Imagine it's not. And that this is actually Filore.
That would be
what
crazy.
that does mean is that character is marked for fucking death, though.
But,
yes.
but I think the reason why we got... I mean, it's not the reason why we got Arc 9 this way, but the reason why the part of it in which we see that Felt is Filore, we pretty much see that Felt is Filore, is because we now have questioning, you know, we now get to reasonably question the identity of this Filore.
It's either this Filore is Capella in disguise, or what the fuck is going on with Felt if she's not Filore? Either answer is interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm obviously very nervous about them giving a church power in general in any fantasy story. Just read Game of Thrones to see why that's a bad idea.
Let's arm the faith militant.
Yeah, let's arm the hyper conservative evangelical faithful people.
Let's arm the
I don't follow their beliefs.
Yeah, I'm sure everything will go on great. The capital of Lagunica on fire literally 2 minutes later.
And like, why is this random nun know what the witch cult feels about certain things? That's kind of strange, huh?
It's a little strange.
Also, why is the church sat out now all this time and now is deciding to get involved?
What's this about dragon blood?
Yeah. It's interesting, but this coinciding with Subaru deciding I have to learn more about this world, I have to be an active player, means, boys, we're getting the political arc. It's coming! The politics!
It is. It's here. Another arc in the capital is going to go so hard, though, because then you have all of like the main players back in the same place again, because this is where like the Felt Camp interactions are going to happen more. The Estrella family are going to interact more. Krush is still located here. Mm-hmm. It's like Amelia is going to have to get involved in politics, not just say she's studying over and over.
It's going to be so good because it's very much going to be like that season 3 of Attack on Titan vibes, where it's like, oh my god, it's politics and I can't stop watching it.
I'm going to put money down now. $50. That the Appa salesman comes back to the story within the first phase of Arc 10. Or I'll say the first phase after Subaru comes back to the capital.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Is the Appa salesman, Katamon, and his family are back. And to add on to the specificity of this bet, we get his named chapter in Arc 10.
I was about to say, we're going to get his named chapter. And not only that, he's going to be a player in the story. He's going to be like... because he's a war veteran from the Demi-Human War, right? So he's there's gonna be some sort of like really interesting vibe. I don't remember if it's Demi-Human War or not, but he's definitely a war veteran, and it's gonna add this element of like, yo, who could Subaru trust in this tense political climate in the capital? Well, I know an Appa salesman, and he's a great guy.
Yeah. I know someone I can trust, even though he doesn't like me a lot.
Yeah.
He's got to make sure he comes with coin this time.
It's just like, yo, broke boy, how you doing? Oh, yo, I'm doing good. So you know how I promised you I'd buy you those apples again? And I already have, but how about I buy out your entire store and require your services, good man?
Yeah, that's true. He could definitely pay for a lot more apples this time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Also, it's going to be very Plum again.
Yeah, but it's also a very funny instance that the last thing this guy remembers Subaru doing is buying a basket of apples or appas, handing them to Rem, grabbing Rem's hand, and yanking her away so fast she drops the apples in front of him.
To be entirely honest,
Rem, actually, for the moment.
Oh yeah,
shit, you're right.
You're right.
It's gonna be Subaru looking fucking weird and running off with the apples.
Yeah, it's like you came by, you bought a bunch of appas, and then you just ran off.
Not looking good.
Kind of feels funny there.
Maybe he's impressed now. Maybe he's impressed by it.
Subaru's the hero of Lagunica now. It's gonna be it's gonna be so funny. He's gonna be like, "Yo, broke boy, seems like you made a name for yourself. Good on you."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so
my god! What if Liliana comes back and she's singing the thing? singing the thing in court.
Just even like, you know, I think a lot of people, whatever, especially if you're rewatching these, are like, oh, Arc 1, whatever. I feel like Arc 1's going to be baller with the Arc 10 stuff. I feel like it's going to be some fun stuff there.
I like this because, honestly, the notion of Arc 9 was we got a lot of Felt's Camp, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of Felt Camp stuff, maybe in a couple arcs, or maybe, you know, I mean, we're feeling like we need a Lagunica arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My thing was like, we got a lot of these characters. Maybe they'll kind of go away from these characters, but now we have like a completely understandable reason to be like, no, it's all politics all the time. And yeah, of course they're going to be there. They're going to be right beside us. They're going to be just as main characters as they were, if not more so.
Yes.
In this arc. So I think that's fun.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just really.
We haven't had a.
Go ahead.
We haven't had a proper Lagunica arc since Arc 3.
Yeah.
Like, truly. Like, Arc 5, kind of, but it also was more focused on the city and the witch cult than it was on Lagunica as a whole.
And it's just really exciting too, because especially with the President, the Arc 7 and 8 set, because I love those arcs so much for what they do for the world building and like just the wider story as a whole. I'm really excited to see something similar for Lagunica itself, especially with the addition of the religious aspect of the church too, right?
Yeah, that's new, and I think it's needed because a lot about Lagunica feels like a blur, like it's blurry.
Yeah,
it still kind of feels like generic isekai country for a lot of Lagunica specifically.
Yeah.
Which I think Teppei did intentionally, right? Like,
so putting in focus now after so long is going to feel so, especially as he's developed so much as a writer.
Mm-hmm. Like, because so far we have that, like, there's a couple baronies and counties scattered around, and then like there's the Roswell domain and the Karsten domain.
Yeah.
There's got to be more, like, dukes of Lagunica, right? It can't just be severed between the capital, Pristella, Margrave domain and the Karsten domain.
Yeah.
We don't know too many royals, and hopefully, like, think about all the
they all died.
Vlachia. Yeah.
I think one of the few things we do know is that Roswell holds the
nobles
amount of territory, right?
Yes.
He does.
He also, I know we get a lot of mentions of him going to meetings with other nobles within his realm to drum up support for Amelia, right? So there's
right. But I mean, he's a Margrave, so I think that's like a Frenchified term for a marcher lord, which is
border lord.
It's a duke on the frontier, which that frontier is the Eliar Forest.
I mean, we get specified in
desert.
Arc 8 too that his whole job is to defend against Wallachia officially, right? Like,
well, that's, I believe, his job. No, isn't that Reinhardt's like position primarily?
So because he's the Marquis or the Margrave on the border with like some of his lands borders Wallachia. His whole thing is to, like, he's technically supposed to defend Lagunica if they were invaded by Wallachia. Obviously, Reinhardt is a given is going to do that, but it's why the funny comment of like, why does this man not have a private army in Arc 8 is so funny, because he's like a flying fucking nuke. He could just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually am remembering that conversation now. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, this just all of these little sprinklings of this is generic isekai country, but there's something slightly deeper there. And now we're going to get it, and it's going to be so delicious. Oh, my God.
That's the hope.
I love politics arcs so much. And you know how we were mentioning before in some stuff, it was like 7 and 8 about like Guesteco, what's going on with that? Capella has connections in Guesteco, I believe. I'm pretty sure her whole organization is...
The assassin organization is from the Guesteco, yes.
Yeah, so we might get some of the Guestecan stuff included in this capital arc here, which would be
because the Gusteca is also about religion too.
Yes,
they're heavily...
it'd be a fun parallel.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, because
definitely interesting.
I already knew about the Church of the Dragon because there's some external content about it in like other places. I think specifically in the Lost in Memories game, from what I remember.
I was gonna say, I thought it's in one of the games, which I remember Teppei said he wanted to involve some of the stuff from the games into the main story.
Yeah.
I guess we're seeing that now.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see more in depth, like just the faith of Lagunica in general, and why it's important that Volcanica didn't have the stuff happen actually in Arc 9, because otherwise the faith of the kingdom would have been rocked and it would have crumbled.
Mm-hmm. Breaking news, our god is dead.
Yeah. Also, the Dragon Tablet is fucking gone, because, again, our god is dead. No royal selection.
Yep. Royal selection's over.
It's over, guys. Sorry.
Minister Not Miklatov. What's the other one? The one with the eyebrows.
I mean, it could even be that we don't just crown Amelia, it's just anarchy and fucking Lagunica falls apart into warring states.
Well, that's what it was going to be.
One of the wise men would take over. Like, they would just claim it.
But also...
or it goes to Marcus, who military coups it.
Yeah, military coups it, yeah, at that point. I can imagine him doing that if it's for the good of the role at that point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But now we're at the point of... So, how's Lagunica going to come out of Arc 10, guys? Because I don't know if it's going to be looking good for them, right?
I think Arc 10 is where we get the Amelia, I hate you, I've always hated you lines of the destroyed throne room.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, you're right. I think you're right because whatever happens here, we are going to learn. And I know we only have 3 or 4 more arcs after this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Arc 13
allegedly
is when it's going to end. But I know there might be 1 or 2 more.
Specific number. Yeah. Just letting the go where he goes.
I know. But let's say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, let's say. Okay, at this point, what needs to occur is we learn what the witch cult's about. And I think this is the time we do it. And I know you might say there's a lot to do, politics and learning about the witch cult. But I think the last of the witch cultists, Synarch bishops, are going to exist. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn their perspective. And then we're going to learn a bit more about their objectives and what it means.
About Pandora.
Yeah, and about Pandora. And I think it's going to lead to the downfall of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And that means sweet, sweet conflict and so much good political tension. And also, if Subaru's becoming a more active player now, he's about to be very stressed out. Poor guy. Because Subaru and politics don't mesh well.
No. I mean, maybe they will in the future, though. He has learned.
This is the thing. Not only has he learned, he's been a leader of an army. We always talk about the mythical lost episode of EX1, but one thing we talk about there is the parallels between Subaru and the would-be Lion King Fourier. I think these parallels are going to shine quite harshly in this arc coming up.
Agreed. Now, one thing I have is a suspicion, and I think part of the reason... part of the reason I think that is we had Felix show up kind of out of nowhere here. Tappei didn't have to write Al into a scenario where he's like actively trying to kill himself and has no way out. He had already set up several spots where Al knows that if he kills himself, he's just in an endless loop here and there's nothing to do about it. I think the reintroduction of Felix is to bring him back into the story now so that with this new Church of the Dragon introducing a way to help the victims, and i.e. Krush, that Felix is going to get wrapped up into this. Yes. Because there's that whole story of Felix was originally supposed to be like the final boss or whatever, and I think this story is how he gets there, that he could be going down a dark road with EX1. I'll say here, spoilers for EX1 really quickly for the end of it. I think we talked about it in Arc 7 as well, in 8. But Felix is like the most potential necromancer in the story for his ability to use that evil rite that just got fully explored in Arc 8. So if they start setting that up, we could be looking at a dead Krush in Arc 10 and an evil Felix going forward.
But I also think it makes a lot of sense if Capella motivates him by being like, I'll cure the dragon blood. You can't kill me, so you must work with me.
I think it's going to be a combination of motivation, also manipulation, because Capella's really good at doing that. It's going to be like the really deep psychological fuckery, you know? Like,
it could even
learn about Fourier a bit too, I think. I think she's going to use that, especially in the form of Filore, to really dig her claws into Felix.
Agreed. And I think ultimately it is going to cause a conflict between Felix and Subaru. Obviously, this is probably our time of the soul isn't taking hold with whatever he says in the Arc 4 visions.
Yeah.
But it could very well be that they do defeat Capella and it ends up actually being easier than we're suspecting it is. But Felix is now like lost his chance to save Krush, and it's because of Subaru, like a sacrifice that Subaru like willingly made and may have talked with Krush to agreed on. Like, this is how it has to be.
Yeah, it might not
in order to stop him.
Subaru willingly makes, it's Krush makes him do it. She says, "This is not how I want my life to be. It's not how I want it to like happen." It's not even like she's killing herself here. It's more that she's saying, "I will not let my life be used in such a disgusting manner." You must
like it could even be that like you've used the dragon blood in your body already somehow, Subaru. I've not, and it's like an insurance thing that Capella has done. You can't kill her because if you do, anyone with her blood in them also dies.
Yeah.
And then that is a sacrifice Crush is willing to make. Felix never would. And that leads to this conflict going forward. This is all just speculation at this point, but it's something I've been sitting on for a bit.
No, but especially with our EX1 thoughts too, I think it's something we've been sitting on for a while, right? Of this culmination of Crush's, Felix, and Foria's parts of the story coming into the later parts of the story.
It'd be interesting if, for example, Capella does get defeated, and then in this tragic moment you say Capella's authority transfers to Felix instead of Subaru.
That's what I was getting at. Like, Felix has always had like these little jokes about it all, and a lot of his story was like on his physical appearance and like how he presents himself, or Crush's physical appearance and how she presented himself, and that relationship they all had with each other and with Fourier can all be tied into Capella's twisted ideology of like lust and love and physical attraction, what that all means for oneself, as well as her ability to shape change. Like that could go into Felix's whole concept. And I think there's a lot to tie in together that we haven't seen be tied in yet. So him getting lust could absolutely happen.
If the authority of lust combines with his water magic too, he would be a very big problem.
Oh, 100%. Necromancy, because you remember lust plays around with dead bodies too. There's like a thematic parallel between all of their things. Yeah, I think there's almost, I think 100. I'm gonna go ahead and say lock it in. The parallel between Lust and Felix and their stories being tied together is intentional, and I think if that doesn't happen, I'd be shocked. I think that's where we're heading right now. So
I mean, it would add so much poignance to Capella and Felix's interactions in Arc 5 too. I just think it makes sense. Now, this is also a thing too, where if this were to happen, I think it guarantees that Crush... Oh, the Carls came down for a second there. Did not want to spoil her.
Okay.
I see. Yes.
So, I think if those events do play out, I think it's guaranteed Crush gets her memories back because Subaru gets them ejected from Gluttony, and it adds to the tragedy of, we got Crush somewhat back. And
I think that's why Crush is like willing to sack herself then, is because she does get her memories back.
And I think this also is going to tie into the parallels between Subaru and Foria so much, where Crush is going to see a lot of Foria and Subaru, which she already clearly has, right? And
100%.
I think it's going to be her last thing of saying, it's going to be her kind of saying Subaru's continuing that mantle of both of their dreams in a way.
The most surprising thing that I think would happen. Sorry, you finish your thought about Fourier, yeah. And
with that, it's going to cause a lot of pain for Felix because he's then going to see those parallels more. Because I think, Felix has a lot of complicated feelings towards Subaru, and I think it's because he also sees those parallels with Fourier, and it's painful for him, right? And I think it's going to hurt even more when the stuff we think is going to happen with Crush happens, and it's going to be like a really big character moment of Subaru taking that role that was taken from someone.
Now, of course, that's what we think the story's leading with the parallels between Subaru and Fourier, and I agree that that's the most likely thing. But Depay might... I'd be surprised if Depay decides, no, the Crush deserves her moment and she deserves to be healthy again and do something great. Maybe we're thinking too short-sighted, and later on she'll have her moment of, on her own terms, going out without it being her entire life in the main story.
Crush Carsten gonna go so hard.
Yeah, but like the idea that like this entire story she's pretty much been out of sorts. You know what I mean? The entire main story since Arc 3. It's like maybe she deserves an arc or two where she's healthy. I don't know, before she's out of the running and whatnot. But who knows?
I mean, I don't think. Go ahead.
I think the idea is that Felix is the main character of the Crush camp, and Wilhelm, of course, but he has his own stuff with his family, and that the tragedy inflicted upon Felix is the main focus here. But I'm not sure.
It could even be that his desperation to do it makes him and Crush like on opposite sides in the thing, because he's trying to save her in his own thing, but Crush is still doing her own active stuff, you know?
Yeah, willing to sacrifice herself because it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
Because that's our king right there, but I don't know if the world is going to let her have her be our king.
Maybe we do get it and the capital comes crumbling down because she does get named as king. She does somehow win because of Felix's interference and everything else. And it just causes a disaster.
And it's anarchy. And that's the great disaster of Lagunica that's coming.
Maybe.
The Game of Thrones. Well, the idea of the witches, right? So yeah, I think this arc will get interrupted after all the politics said and done with witches in quotes. So who knows? Maybe it's Akidna back with her gang of
D&D adventurers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she literally does. She was in Gusteco. I don't know the last time the short story got published. Maybe I need to read it. But she was in Gusteco and she recruited some random Gustecans that are also pilgrimaging. Weird stuff going on. I don't know. It's been a while since
it really do be a whole ass separate D&D campaign right now.
Maybe that is the D&D campaign that Tappe is playing through.
Or the disaster of Lagunica.
No, it's just Omega and a bunch of randos in Northern Lagunica.
He's playing that scenario out.
Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, the great disaster of Lagunica is coming, folks, and I don't think any of us are ready for it. So, I'm very
I don't know. I'm kind of ready. I got one more thing to push to you, Gold, kind of regarding that possible future. And this is my main tinfoil hat, the one I was mentioning before we started recording.
Yeah.
I think Reinhardt does not have any divine protections. I think he has the authority of pride.
You know what?
And that its power is manifesting as the ability to rob divine protections from the world. And that is how he is influencing it around him.
I like where your head is at because we now know that pride isn't what Al has.
Oh,
correct.
Yeah, I guess that's another fourth thing we could talk about. It's not only is it not pride, but also authorities. If the door is half open with a witch factor and you lose that witch factor, you can still use the authority.
Yeah, it's the witch factor sort of idea. It's interesting. I think you could be onto something, but that'd be a twist of the twists because I agree because Pandora could have manipulated the scenario in which she sees Theresia, takes it away, the Sword Saint's blessing to Theresia, gives it to Reinhardt, and then also gives him the Pride Witch factor.
Well, I think she gave him the Pride Witch factor, and that's how he took it away from her.
And I think if that was true, that adds credence to if Pandora's showing up when Theresia's there, it's going to add a flashback moment to that later part in the story. It's oh my god, what?
And it would make sense considering the fact that no other witch factor is like that, or no other time the Sword Saint's blessing has been like that. Is what I mean.
And also, Pride is a complete unknown apart from Typhon. It is completely we don't. And Pride before was to do with justice in some way, and Reinhardt is the capital hero.
Well, it had to do with judgment. So the basis of my theory is that because of our specification for Tristata in this one, and the priestess part of the other one, of what they really mean, getting into the roots of their original meanings from I don't want to say mythology, but Christian doctrine to them. Pride itself was not about arrogance. It was about putting yourself at to the level of God, equating yourself to God.
Yeah.
And Typhon manifested that as judgment. She was judge, jury, and executioner for people, deciding via a whim on whether to judge you for your actions that you had, as well as you judging yourself.
Yeah.
She was playing one of God's roles.
Yeah, she's playing God.
And we've seen through the powers of this world that the divine protections are supposed to be something that the observers in Odlagna bestow upon people. So if Reinhardt can control them going to him instead,
he's himself to God.
He's taking away one of the powers that the gods, the observers in Odlagna are meant to have, which would equate him to that kind of instance of pride. It also fits with the way that he talks too.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Yeah,
it would give a good idea behind his detachment this idea of he's realizing that he's a thief.
Mhm.
And it'd give more credence to the reason why Wilhelm's words affected him so much. He knows, maybe he knew all along that he has this witch factor, but he doesn't want to say it, because if he does, then of course he's a monster. You know what I mean?
And
Yes.
Yeah.
it's in that way, it's kind of ironic that this world's Lucifer type character is a threat towards the Satan type character. But that also then adds credence to if he does have a Lucifer type moment and falls from grace. Like, you can't even hold it without that, you thief, or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't hold the sword without that, you thief. Or a hero is all you can be, Reinhardt. Thanks for all the help. Because we even, like, hear in that line, Reinhardt's trying to say, I, as if he's trying to explain himself. But he's done something that Subaru cannot forgive in that moment.
And I realize that now that you mention it, this idea that the only thing that can trump Al's authority is another authority, right? That's what we've kind of pitched in our mind. And that's what the story's framed, right? The person who gives him the most trouble is Reinhardt, right?
Yes.
The idea that the world... That's actually was something I was curious about, and actually would make a lot of sense, because if the authorities are able to trounce the fate of the world or anything the observers do, then why is it that Reinhardt's blessings are special? You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't make sense, because the blessing of the sword saint, that's all, that's the sword. Like, all that says that, you're just acting on the whims of the stars, right? Why is it that that's the one thing that can overcome authorities? It makes no sense. So it being an authority of it itself would complete that in my mind.
This makes extra sense too, because we learn that what Louis in Arc 6 says about divine protections and authorities being opposites that cannot interact is a lie, because they both work through Ode Lagana.
Anyway, that's just...
Yeah.
There's no real evidence for it. There's just like enough pieces to put together to say like, this could be true.
Yeah.
And because we know that Al doesn't have it, and
Also,
they've never named the ability Reinhardt has to get other divine protections.
and-
They've named the rest of them,
Yeah.
but not that one.
And
also the idea that, like, there's been no other alternatives. You know what I mean? Who could have it? I think we've kind of narrowed away the possibilities, is what I'm saying at this point.
Yes.
it then also makes sense of, like, where did it go after Typhon died, right? Like, and did the Estrella family get a hold of it themselves? And they've been looking at it for a while, and none of them were ever compatible until Reinhardt shows up.
Also, Wilhelm killed the previous bride,
Who
Archbishop.
was
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I
He was
know,
an
but I'm
alleged.
saying that it makes sense if perhaps around that time Reinhardt's born, and then maybe something, who knows?
It could be tied into Loana's mystery as well.
Yeah,
It probably definitely is, yeah, I think. Probably definitely is, yeah, I think it's definitely, though, yeah.
And it's going to tie into why it's really bad that Heinkel is locked up for Arc 10 right now, boys. Because he's probably he's probably needed really badly in this arc, and because he's out of the picture, it's gonna be bad.
No, Arc 10 is going to be Heinkel's arc. This is going to be his time to
it's
come
gonna
up
be his
and
time
shine.
to shine. Yeah.
Because we kill Wilhelm in Arc 10 properly this time, not just faking it out like we did in 9.
And not at the hands of your own son, you know what I mean?
No, I think he dies trying to fight a dragon and it doesn't work.
Maybe it's Reinhardt, honestly.
It might be Reinhardt. Who knows?
Can't wield the sword without a thief. He has to say that line. So.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. All right, that's what I have to say about Arc 10, though. Those are my main predictions and thoughts about what might come up and be involved in it. Do we have more to say on 9 or this final phase? Anything else, like, main and extra to it?
Let's think here.
I do want to take a bit to highlight Rem's absolute understanding of Subaru. Like, I know we've mentioned this a couple of times, especially with when it first happened, but instantly gleaming that Subaru is also looping via death as soon as she learns that it's a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
And then understanding, without actually talking to Petra about this properly, of, well, to fix this, then we have to kill him, so he goes back and stops it.
Mm-hmm.
Just her determination of love to get to Subaru the entire time is something that you're seeing as like she just wants to get to her true love. She just wants to get to her true love, all just to kill him as like an act of mercy and understanding to it all too.
It's so peak.
It's an insane level moment for her character, and I'm very excited to see her come back. But the tiny thing I wanted to add is that now that we're back to Provincial Rem, we got confirmation that Provincial Rem has already also fallen for Subaru. It's not just like a begrudging appreciation for him.
Which as makes it very tsundere and very, very cute.
I honestly do think that this reset on Rem is just more opportunity to get it right. It is. You know what I mean?
And it's
to get the relationship right. Yeah.
We also will then get to have. We've already had Rom be the first one to see her, like when she wakes up and have that emotional reunion. It's not like he's going to play that same scene out again. Like, so now we're going to get to have the one with Rom already, and then we'll also get to have one with Subaru.
Emotional resolution so nice you have it twice.
Yeah. Even better the second time.
It will be even better the second time. This time she won't just be with fucking Frederica and Ryuzu when it happens either.
Oh, it's so exciting. Do you have anything else
it is
for 9 or 10?
I don't. All I have is more theory crafting, and I think we're good for now.
Yeah, we've reached our upper limit of. Perhaps one thing we can do in the future is maybe talk about potential Arc 10 stuff of what we could be theory crafting in general. I think that's true. Fun. But
rest of the story theory crafting.
Yeah, rest of like where do we go from here? It's just chef hats. But with that out of the way, I hope everyone here at home enjoyed this episode of the Veto Podcast, because I know I sure as hell did. I've been waiting to talk about this for ages now. This has been so much fun. Please let us know what you think about our theories, crackpot or otherwise. Do you have your own? Because we love to read the comments about it. And where do you guys think the story is going next? Because, oh my god, it was insane.
Sure was. And we will see you when it continues or when we have some more stuff. Our fearless leader Kyle's is catching up, so we'll probably have some stuff to talk about with her soon too.
So more content for you guys. But thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye-bye!
Bye.